Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. I'm Don, and with me are Julie and Robert on stage. And just off to the side of the stage, our colleagues Anna Maria and Heidi, who are standing by to answer your questions. Today, we'll show you just how familiar BricsCAD can be for an AutoCAD user. I'll kick it off. Then Julie will introduce you to the software, and Robert will take us home with a demonstration of BricsCAD's compatibility, learnability, and ease of administration. Before we get started, who is BricsCAD? Well, we're a global provider of CAD, BIM, mechanical design, and common data environment tools. They're brought to market under the BricsCAD and BricsCAD 24/7 brands. Now, we're a part of Hexagon AB, a $20 billion publicly traded technology group, so you know we'll be there for you. There are BricsCAD product users in over 110 countries, and we're headquartered in Ghent, Belgium, with 200 plus employees across 8 countries. BricsCAD has been in business for almost 20 years. So the next question is, what is BricsCAD? BricsCAD is a family of CAD products. They are the cost-effective, modern alternatives to the popular CAD or LT-CAD, BIM, and mechanical design products that you use today. The BricsCAD product family is just that. Imagine 2D, 3D, BIM, and mechanical design in a single product, one that we call BricsCAD Ultimate. The 30-day free trial of BricsCAD is BricsCAD Ultimate. So when you download and try BricsCAD, you get all the products in a single package. When you buy, your license code enables your addition. So download BricsCAD once, and you're ready to go. You can convert your trial to production by simply entering your license key. And it's all backed up by BricsCAD 24/7. Our cloud-based collaboration and data storage environment that has a built-in communications panel right inside of BricsCAD. So you can upload and download files, you can version those files, and communicate with your colleagues across the world. So why choose BricsCAD over your current CAD solution? Couple reasons. First, it's very affordable, and I'll show you more about that next. Potentially as important, if not even more important, it is highly UI and UX compatible with AutoCAD. That means the user interface and the user experience is very similar, and therefore it is eminently learnable. Now, BricsCAD is very flexible. We offer license types that our competitors have abandoned. And after the demonstration, Robert will tell you a lot more about how easy it is to deploy and manage BricsCAD in your company. But first, let's talk about cost, because in today's economy, this is something that's very important. BricsCAD Pro is the version of BricsCAD that we feel is a better AutoCAD. You can purchase a perpetual license of BricsCAD Pro for $850 US. Maintenance is $255 a year. That gives you major product updates, it gives you priority support, and access to the 24/7 cloud. Now, let's take a look at subscription, because you may want to subscribe to BricsCAD, and that's fine. If that works for your business, we make it available for you. Let's compare BricsCAD Pro, either perpetual or subscription, to the cost of AutoCAD. Again, these are manufacturer's suggested retail prices. We can derive 3 key points from this graph. Number 1, you can buy BricsCAD Perpetual for less than the cost of 1 year of AutoCAD subscription. Number 2, BricsCAD maintenance year over year is only about 15% the cost of a year of AutoCAD subscription, and it gives you access to all the new major versions of BricsCAD. Finally, over 3 years, BricsCAD costs less than a year of AutoCAD subscription. So the pricing is clearly there. Now, let's talk about flexibility. We offer the most flexible licensing model in the industry. We offer perpetual licenses, with or without maintenance, your choice. You can subscribe to BricsCAD if you prefer. If your business model favors subscription, that's totally fine with us. Also, a single BricsCAD license supports any language in any location. You don't need to ask our permission to use your BricsCAD license in a different locale, and we won't charge you extra for that privilege either. Finally, we offer network multi-user and volume multi-user licenses, something that many of our competitors have simply taken away from their customers. Why? Because we're here for you, and because we know that without you, we're not in business. We want to offer the types of licensing that make the most sense for your organization every day. Now, talking about the familiar user interface and the familiar user experience, Julie will take you through this, but there's a story that Robert tells a lot about something called Lunch and Learns. When he engages with a customer and they're just getting started with BricsCAD, after the IT department has configured their environment, they'll bring many of the users in, they'll offer them lunch, they bring their laptops, they load BricsCAD, and within 1 hour, they not only have lunch, but they're also ready to go and start working with AutoCAD. You can be comfortable in an hour and proficient in an afternoon. The high compatibility is the key. Keyboard shortcuts, menus, Lisp routines, sheet sets, templates, and of course, your drawing files are all super compatible with BricsCAD. BricsCAD is an all-in-one CAD platform. Start in 2D, move to 3D, BIM, or mechanical without relearning the foundation. You can keep training costs down today for 2D and tomorrow for 3D modeling and BIM. That's our story. And you'll see more about this in just a few minutes. So, without much further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Julie Kavarian, my colleague. She's a technical product specialist for BricsCAD and BricsCAD BIM, and she's going to take you through a demonstration of how BricsCAD is UI and UX compatible for AutoCAD users today. Julie, you've got the screen.
Okay, thank you, Don. Yes, today I will be showing you just how familiar and similar BricsCAD is to AutoCAD from a user's point of view. I'll also point out a few things that are different in a good way. So let's just start with the UI. Of course, here we've got the ribbon, we've got toolbars, over here some panels, of course the command line and the status bar. And you can change what you see on your screen as well. So for those of you that prefer the menu bar, you can have the menu bar. If you like toolbars, you can have toolbars. We've got lots of toolbars. You can change the panels that are displayed. And for those of you who prefer that clean screen, you can have a clean screen. And then we have the Start menu, or the Start tab. So this is where you can create new drawings from templates, whether they're BricsCAD templates or your own. Just save your DWG as a DWT to create your templates. You can open existing drawings here, and notice these are DWGs. The list of your recent files are here along with their paths. Access learning tutorials and sample files from the Learn tab, and view third-party applications from the Applications tab. Any open drawings are at the top of your window here in a tab. So all familiar, all similar to what you're probably using today. Now I'm ready to put some finishing touches on these plans, and then we'll create a PDF. So the first thing I want to do is to create or to add some dimensions, which I can do from the dimensions menu, from the menu bar, or from the Annotate tab on the ribbon. And of course, if you prefer that dimensions toolbar, you can use that as well. And to start dimensioning, I do that just like you probably do that today. Make sure we've got some things turned on and start dimensioning. just like you do today. Now, I seem to see that something's not quite right with my dimension style because my text is minuscule. I do have some other styles in my drawing, but I don't really know how those styles have been set up. So I need to check dim styles. And if my memory serves me right, I can just type in ddim at the command line to get into my dimension styles. Now this brings me right into the dimension styles of the Drawing Explorer. This is unique to BricsCAD. But here we have our different styles. And then over here on the right, we can see all those settings. And these should be very familiar. So we can take a look here and see that, yeah, the text is very small, as are my arrows. So let's take a look at another style. That looks a little better, but I still don't really understand all the differences between these two dimension styles. But BricsCAD makes that very easy to understand because it will highlight all of these differences in those style settings in blue. So that's a big help. And BricsCAD goes one further in that it will highlight just the differences between these styles. So it's very easy now to compare what's different. I want to use this style, so let's go ahead and update my existing dimension string, just like you probably are doing today. Yes, that is much, much better. Now, before I continue though, I do want to check my layers because yes, I'm working on the wrong layer. I should be working on my dimension layer, but I don't even see a dimension layer. So let's go back to the Drawing Explorer to copy some layers from another drawing. The Drawing Explorer allows me to do just that, explore other drawings, not just the drawing that I'm working in. And the Drawing Explorer is also where all the style definitions are kept in BricsCAD. So here's my other drawing, and here are the layers that I need to copy. And I could copy and paste them using the icons here at the top of the window, but I'm going to just drag and drop them into my current drawing into the layers area. And we see that those layers have been added here in Drawing Explorer, as well as now we see them in the panel. And of course, we need to update the layers that my existing dimension strings are on. And I can do that just like you probably do today in your current CAD system. Or for something that's a little bit different, I can just hover over that dimension, and that brings up the quad menu. And the quad menu is unique to BricsCAD. And directly from the quad menu, I can also update that layer. Okay. So now that the dimensions are started, I also need to add some labels for my plans. And I have a block in that other drawing that I want to reuse. I could go back to the Drawing Explorer, but instead I'm going to use the Content Browser. Sometimes there's more than one way to do something, and the Content Browser is a panel that lets you view the contents of other drawings as well as drill down to see the blocks. So here are the blocks that are in my drawing, and actually this is the block that I want to use, and I can just drag and drop that right into my drawing. We'll place it a couple of times, and right away I see I have attributes that I need to complete, just similar to how you probably are doing things today. Okay, so we've got the labels in there. Those are done. Now the next thing to do is to look at my paper space layouts. And again, this should look very familiar. I can create new paper space layouts by just clicking the little plus sign here, or right-clicking on a layout. And here we can create new layouts from a template, delete, copy, rename, move them, just like you're used to today. For those of you that like to type, again, just type in layout and you have those same familiar options. Now, something that's unique to BricsCAD is this tiny little icon here This is our layer manager. This is a quick way to manage your layout tabs. We can create new ones, we can copy, we can delete, we can change the order here, and also I can search, which will act as a filter. Now from the layout manager, if I just simply double click, that will take me right to that layout. And when new layouts are created, one viewport is created, just like what you get today. And down here in the status bar, I can turn on VP Lock to lock that layer. You have full control of the viewports, so if you don't like that one, we can delete it. And then again, just type in viewports and create what you need. All right, so we've got some layouts. Here's a layout for my plans. I've got my cover sheet started, but I'm missing my title block. So let's go back to the content browser. Here is my title block. I can just drag and drop that into position. Again, I see that there are some attributes. So let me start to fill those in. Again, nothing new here. And I think you get the idea. And now we can see some of those attributes that I've filled in. And pulling those blocks out of the content browser is quick and easy. And I know I'll probably be using those blocks fairly often. So I'm going to add them to my tool palette here. Very easy to do. I'm going to do that from Drawing Explorer. Just find the blocks that I want to use. Here they are. And literally with the click of a button, we can add them to the current tool palette. Here they are. Now I can just drag and drop them into any of my drawings as needed. Okay, I think we are ready to print this to a PDF. So of course, we need to go to page setup. Again, this should look very familiar to you. You can choose your plotter configurations, your paper size, what you're plotting, your pen styles. We can also preview this. That looks pretty good. So we are now ready to publish. Again, this should look very familiar. If you had sheet lists, you could use those. We're going to include our layouts. We're publishing to PDF. Here are my options. So we can go ahead and start that. So you can see what I've shown you so far in BricsCAD is very familiar and very similar to what you're using or what today in another program. And let me just pull up that PDF. We can take a look. There's my first page and my second page. And looking at this though, I can see there are a few other things that I do need to clean up. So let's pop back here to the model. Over here, I need to copy this chair to a couple of other areas. And I'm going to use Copy Guided, which is an AI tool, instead of the traditional copy command, just because Copy Guided does so much more. Now, anything that is completely contained within my selection window will be copied. And any of those entities that cross my window are going to be used as guide curves. You see kind of those blue arrows. And when I move my cursor towards matching geometry, you see how that chair just kind of snaps into place. Copy Guided is smart enough to ignore geometry that doesn't match. Here is what we're seeing there. And again, smart enough to recognize matching geometry even at a different angle or even on a curve. So that's pretty cool. Now over here, I have some desks and some chairs, and these are just entities. At one point, they were blocks and arrays like I see up top here. And of course, I want them back into blocks. So I can do that with another AI tool called Blockify. I just simply need to say what I want in that block, and BricsCAD quickly goes ahead and creates those blocks for me. It's quicker than I could do myself. Now, Blockify and Copy Guided can do so much more than what I've shown you here. And we have highlighted these tools in previous webinars. So if you didn't see those webinars, you can go back and look at the recordings if you haven't already. Now, the last thing I want to show you is I've noticed that I've got a lot of lines on layer 0, which I don't think I should have. So I'm using now the structure browser, which is an interactive tree view of the current model, and it's telling me I have 309 lines on layer 0. So we're going to use this as an analysis tool and take a look at those lines. Those are some funny looking lines. In fact, we can see over here in the properties panel that the length is 0. So I don't want those 0 length lines, so I've just deleted those. But now that has me wondering if I have other areas where I might have some 0 length lines. And we can check that by going to the properties panel and using the quick filter here. So we can filter on the end, on the type here, as well as the properties. And again, that property that I'm really interested in is a length of 0. And let's see what we get. And I do have a whole lot more of these 0 length lines. So we'll go ahead and delete those as well. But this shows you just how the structure browser and the properties panel can be very helpful in analyzing and cleaning up your drawings. And this was just a quick look at how familiar and similar BricsCAD is to AutoCAD from a user's point of view. And it shows you just how learnable BricsCAD is. I'll send it back to you, Don.
Awesome, Julie. Thank you so much. That was really a great presentation. Let's take it to the next level. I'm going to invite Mr. Robert Green to take over the stage. Robert, it's all yours.
Well, thanks very much, Don. And hopefully everyone now sees my screen. So as the Director of Implementation at Brixis, I deal quite a lot with companies that are looking at migrating from their existing CAD system over to BricsCAD. And I do use a lunch and learn or a quick introduction type of format to expose people to BricsCAD. And quite a lot of the time, honestly, we have people sitting in the room who have come from an AutoCAD or an AutoCAD LT background. And so what I do like to do is point out some differences and contrasts, compatibilities, and then we'll go ahead and finish off after my brief live demo here, and we'll talk about some of the value proposition and why BricsCAD is such a great idea for your company. First of all, let's say this before I go into live demo. My colleague Don always says, never leave behind that which you already know. And that should include your customization, because your users are used to working with their CAD program in a certain way. And we want to make sure that those users can be comfortable in BricsCAD. So these are some of the questions that I typically get when I first take somebody through BricsCAD. These are the things that come up in the first 15 or 20 minutes that I like to show them. So mouse operations, settings, working with CUIs, bringing over tool palettes, running Lisp routines, bringing over modern configurations. A lot of these things are like CAD managers and power users responsible for configuring the system. So I like to show them how BricsCAD works in this regard. So to do that, we're going to have a quick live demo. So allow me to switch over to BricsCAD here. I'll move forward through there. Now, one of the things that you probably noticed straight away when Julie was working with her demo is you saw things popping up on the screen that didn't necessarily look like what you're used to, like the hotkey assistant down here, or if you're trying to execute commands, the quad cursor. Now, I think these are actually better than the default option, but I do understand that they're different. So let's just show you real quick how you can turn these on.
Innovative and
proceed down here into the system tray where you'll see toggle the quad on and off and toggle the hotkey assistant on and off, which you can go ahead and do. And now everything is going to work really in a way that you're comfortable with. So it's kind of like a compatibility switch. If you want to work that way for a while and then get used to BricsCAD and turn the quad and the hotkey assistant on, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that. So that's first. Now, the second thing is when you're working with a CAD program, invariably you're going to have to manipulate some settings, some system variables, some things like that. So in the solution that most people are working with these days, this is kind of what that option screen looks like.
Environmentally friendly construction materials.
In here, it's basically kind of a rote memorization process, trying to remember which one of these screens the variable resides in, and you can't really search on it intelligently. Like, I don't really know what system variable is behind that unless I go to the help button. So what we're going to give you in BricsCAD is our answer to options, which we call settings. Oh, and by the way, if you type in options, we'll take you here automatically because you're already used to that. So we try to do a really good job doing that for you. So this is our settings screen, and notice that we have a searchable interface here. So all I have to do is go up top, and if I know the variable that I want to affect, let's say dim style. Well, I don't exactly know where that is in the tree, in the structural tree, but if I type in dim style, it takes me right there. Easy to find. Now, what if I know sort of what it's called? Like I want some unit settings, so I can type in the word unit, and it will drill down here into the drawing and drafting section, where it brings me up into drawing units, and we also have property units and measurement. Anything that would have anything to do with units would be shown here. What about a variable that we have no idea what the variable is called whatsoever, but we have an idea what it does? Like, I want to change the background color of my model space tab. So I'll just go ahead and start typing in background color. And this is going to take me to anywhere where we encounter a match. And that could be over here in the variable name itself, or it could be over here in the description. So we see hatch background color. Nope, that wasn't what I wanted. Shading edges color. No, that wasn't what I wanted either. The text fill color. No, background color. Here we go. So let's change that from black to...
That not only add aesthetic value.
We'll do white.
Architectural
favorite color choice, but it illustrates the change, and you can see that the change was made here right away. There was no having to press an apply button or to re-init or to exit the settings.
This has continued to develop
away from this. See how the color of that text changed. This is BricsCAD's way of telling you that a user has been in and has made a change.
It's the reach
system variable, and as a
environmentally friendly construction system with green characteristics, like a very efficient.
See what the user has manipulated or changed. Sometimes that can be a great
life cycle
in debugging problems. So there we go, settings. That's a better options command in my mind. Now, another thing that you want to use is interface elements. So we have things here like ribbon tabs, we have pull down menus, we would have pallets. I'll talk more about pallets in a moment. But right now, what we want to do is look at the CUI command, which is the customize interface. And coming from the other application, that's a little more, again, graphical, a little more limited. See here that we control everything within our CUI command that could possibly be set for the user's optimization. And one of those things just happens to be aliases. This is a question I get. Can I make my own keystrokes in BricsCAD? Yes, you can. So we see here in the alias column, as we scroll down, and we'll find C. Well, C is for circle. What if in my company, CR has always meant circle? So now I have a lot of users want to know where the CR shortcut is. Simple. I just add it, and I make my alias CR. I put in the command. I either do it from the drop-down list, or I can just simply type in circle. I OK that. You'll see that that's added. It's already pushed down, alphabetized into the list, and that is now active. Notice that there's no apply button. All I have to do is just OK my way out, and that alias will be in effect. So we could type in CR right now, and it'll work no problem. So this is, it's superior in terms of we can do more in our CUI, and we can manage it and reinitialize the environment without having to worry about applies, getting out and back into the command. So it's quicker, it's more efficient, and the user never has to remember to hit the save button or to apply. So that's customize a better CUI command. Pallets. These are something that a lot of companies standardize on, and quite frequently what I see is a pallet representing a block library. So drag and drop block insertion is a very common usage case. We want to be able to bring those over from our other CAD solution into BricsCAD straight away. And we can, and here's how simple that is. All I have to do is go over into LT or AutoCAD and export the tool pallets that reside there. That will give me an XTP file. Now I come into BricsCAD and I simply say customize pallets, right click here and say import. I then navigate to the XTP file. In this case, it's a pallet of fitness equipment that's been saved, and I open it. I then close the customize dialog, and we can see that fitness was brought down here. It's last in the tabular order because it was the last imported. And here's my fitness equipment. It's now drag and drop simple. I just take it out here into the environment, place it, boom, we're done. Now let's look at what happened here. Not only did we get the content, but if I look at the properties behind the elements on that pallet, we see that everything that was encoded coming over from the pallets in the other system has been brought over here. So if there's default scaling, if there's variable scaling, rotation, prompting for rotation angles, all those properties are retained and imported just exactly as you would expect. So not only do you have a pallet that looks like what you're used to, that has the blocks of what you're used to, but they will actually behave as you are used to them behaving. So pallets, piece of cake, and you're really not going to lose any information in bringing those over. Now, a lot of times companies have Lisp routines. They want to use those because users have become extremely reliant upon them. So we have an application that works here that's called Blade, and this is our advanced Lisp editor. This is very similar to VLIDE if you happen to use that. But these are just simply some utility functions that a client has that they want to use. So it's a poly. Let's just note that that's one of the functions. So what we can do is come over here into BricsCAD, and we will use appload. Oop, needed to hit escape there. So I'll use appload, and we can see here that we simply navigate, select that file, we tell it to load in, and we can click auto load. This is very similar to the startup suite that you're probably used to, so that every time BricsCAD starts, the areas command will start with it, and those functions will be available to you. So remember how I showed you that there was a function in there called a poly? We can just simply go here to the command line and type it, and we see that it's been placed in the command stack, exactly as we would expect. We can then trigger the command, and I just go here inside a bounded volume, and this is a routine that the customer used to get square areas in various unit systems. So it's just a neat little utility that the customer really liked, and we've been able to bring that across and load it in and run it in BricsCAD just exactly as you would in your other application. Absolutely no difference, very simple to do. Let me wrap up the live demo here by talking a little bit about plotting. And what I'm going to do here is bring up our plot configuration window. You access this by simply saying Plotter Manager, just like you do in the other application. And what we see is that we tend to have just kind of the very, very basic configurations. Well, in my other CAD application, I had set up a custom PDF plotter capture utility. I configured it the way I wanted it, so it's all set. So what I will do is I will simply go over into my other application folder. I will grab this PC3 file and I will copy it. I will then paste it into our Plotter Manager window. Again, this is completely coming from the other system. No edits whatsoever, just simply copy and paste it into the BricsCAD Plotter folder. And now we can go into BricsCAD and say plot. Just like Julie did before. And what we'll see here is that we have a list of available plotters, right? And there's the one that we just brought in. So that's very, very simple to do. Oh, and by the way, did you notice that I've hidden all those nasty system plotters? Well, yeah, but there's a variable to do that, and I cannot remember what that variable is called. So let's go into settings and let's type in system printer, hide system printers. There it is. So back to that better options command. So we've now kind of made the round trip, and I'm going to pop back over into my PowerPoint slide where we talked about bringing over all of these various elements like your users are used to, as they expect. And this is one of the real powerful elements of BricsCAD. Now, let me step forward. So we've been talking about compatibility of customization, but let's go back to a more basic level. When we talk about compatibility, it has to begin with the file format itself. BricsCAD is DWG. We don't import it, we simply open it. We don't save as, we don't export, we save to DWG. Now, you can save as to a DWT template file, just as you do in the other application. But the point is, you work with the same files. You can install BricsCAD right now, 1 hour from now, and you can open up all the DWG files that you've produced for the last years and decades. It will open straight into BricsCAD and work. Absolutely zero translation required. Super, super, super compatible. You don't have to do a thing, it just works. So by utilizing standard data formats, we make sure that your transition is simple. And there's no proprietary file formats in BricsCAD, so you're not locked into something that you're not used to. You keep using the file formats that you have always used. Now, compatibility in terms of customization, we've seen a little bit about this, but let me explain it in just a slightly different way. By maintaining your CUI elements, like your aliases and your ribbons and your menus and your tool palettes and your Lisp routines, and I didn't demonstrate it, but we open sheet sets just the same way. We use template files just the same way, plotter configurations in just the same way. This means that from a CAD manager standpoint or an administrator standpoint, your company can get to work in BricsCAD very, very rapidly. Your users are not going to have to waste a bunch of time getting their system squared away. You'll be able to bring all these elements, your standard elements of customization, you'll be able to bring them over into your BricsCAD environment and get to work. Now, because we bring all this over, and because all these standard workflow elements are preserved in exactly the way that you would expect, BricsCAD is super easy to learn. And when Don says I do lunch and learns and I sit people down with BricsCAD and have them doing things in a half hour to 45 minutes, that's true. Don't believe me, download it and experience it for yourself. But that really is true, because if you take somebody who's familiar with the other application and sit them on BricsCAD, they're going to discover how similar it is. Now, because we are legacy command compatible, that is, if you type in L, it means line, E means erase, DDM or DD modify for dimension modify commands, all these things are exactly the same as you have always typed them for years and years and years. Our interface is CUI driven, menu compatible, palette compatible. So the interface is organized and presented in the same way you've always seen it. So there's nothing new to learn. We bring the custom tools over. You saw the properties behind the palletized blocks. They work exactly as you expect. You run Lisp files exactly as you would expect. This means that when I sit somebody down on BricsCAD for the first time, they're not only seeing what they expect, but their muscle memory is taking them to exactly the right spot. They're keying in exactly the right things. The mouse is going to the right place to pick menu elements and pop down menus. The mouse is going over to the pallets for drag and drop insertion in just the way that you've always done it. This muscle memory compatibility means that you can train in just a matter of hours. That first hour where I walk people through and I give them some examples and a little bit of guidance, those are the training wheels. And then within an hour, the training wheels come off the bicycle and you start writing BricsCAD on your own. It really doesn't take much time. And again, don't believe me, download it and look at it for yourself. And Don will explain how to do that here in just a few moments. But don't just be satisfied with using BricsCAD the same way you've used your old application. That would be not getting your money's worth out of BricsCAD, because BricsCAD does so much more than your old application. As you saw, just a little bit of Julie's demo, like Copy Guided and Blockify, we are using AI-enhanced commands to take repetitive tasks like copying furniture around a layout or consolidating and reformulating blocks on the fly. We're taking stuff that takes you minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour, and we're collapsing that down literally into seconds. And the training curve on this is nil. Copy Guided is just the same thing as copying. It's just that it's smarter. Blockify is exactly the same as using blocks and inserts, but it's just happening rapidly. So there's essentially no training curve. You use these in minutes. And by cutting processes that took many minutes down into seconds, you save time. And that's where BricsCAD delivers a very compelling return on your investment. So learn BricsCAD in compatibility mode, get started and get rolling, and then start using these enhanced AI commands like Blockify and Copy Guided, others that we've seen in other episodes of our webinars over the past few weeks, like Bimify, Propagate, Parameterize, and Automatch. Super, super powerful, super easy to use. Learning curves in just minutes, and you will save tons of time with BricsCAD. You really will. And what I'd like to focus on now, just for a moment, is for CAD managers or IT managers, briefly. Licensing BricsCAD is actually very straightforward and very flexible. In a world where we're seeing our licensing choices dwindle or be taken away from us, we have preserved the most popular licensing choices that your company will want. We continue to offer perpetual licenses with maintenance so that you can own your software and not be at anybody's mercy on a rental contract. However, if you want to be on a subscription contract, you can, or you can mix the two. Maybe you want perpetuals for your everyday users and a few subscriptions for part-time users, or to staff up for a quick project. The point is, it's up to you. We're not going to tell you what kind of licenses you must buy or how many you need to buy. That's your call, because it's your business and your licensing should be done in a way that makes sense for you. And it should be done affordably, which BricsCAD is. Don showed you that. You should be able to use your CAD application in whatever language version you want. You should be able to sit anywhere on the globe and use it, and you should not have to pay extra for those privileges. And with BricsCAD, you don't. So we like to call it one license for planet Earth. Turns out that's true. We still offer network multi-user licensing. Some people call this floating, some people call it concurrent, kind of different words for the same thing. This option has been taken away in recent months, and we continue to offer it because we feel like it's the best deal for our customers, and our customers have told us they value this option, so we'll retain it. We perform silent install so that it's very easy to SCCM push or administratively push the installation of BricsCAD across your LAN. We will not force you into name user requirements. I will say that again, there is no compelling code from our standpoint that makes you manage named users. You can simply have them set And multi-user, standalone, you can have them however you would like them configured. One license manager controls it all. That's it. And everything is in a single 408 megabyte deployment installation package. That's not a typo, 408 megabytes, everything. For BricsCAD Pro, Classic, all the way up through BIM and mechanical tools. It's all in there. So CAD managers, IT managers, build one installer and be done. That's all there is to it. So we've seen how smart BricsCAD is. We've seen how affordable it is. We've seen the power that is brought to bear from an AI enhanced command vocabulary, and we've seen the extreme compatibility so that your users can get on BricsCAD and get to work straight away. So my question is, why aren't you already trying BricsCAD? You really should download it and see it for yourself. Start saving time and money right now. And to show you how that happens, I'll hand this back to my colleague, Don. Don.
Mr. Green, beautiful job. Thank you so much. Julie, fantastic demonstration. Thank you so much. I know it's late for both of you. I appreciate the effort that you put into the presentation today. Now, Robert talked about how do you get your hands on BricsCAD, 30-day free of charge trial of BricsCAD Ultimate. No credit card required. All you have to do is sign up. How do you get there? Go to Bricsys.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner of the home page for Bricsys.com, you will see the download button. Just click on it. Now, if this is your first visit to Bricsys, we're going to ask you to create a Bricsys account. Don't worry, it's really easy. Where is it? Well, right down here, you can see no Bricsys account. Hit the blue link to register now. Or you can register using your Facebook or Google credentials if you wish. Then you'll go to the next screen. Fill in your credentials, email, password, confirm it, and you're done. That's all there is to it. Next, download BricsCAD. Like Robert said, 408 megabytes. It will take just a few minutes, as will the installation. That's all there is to it. When you launch BricsCAD for the first time, you will see the launcher window. Now, there's many things you can do here, but what you want to do is press the Start Trial button, this blue button right here at the top, and you'll start your 30-day trial of BricsCAD. That's all there is to it. If you have questions about how to get started, if you have questions about licensing, all you have to do is just drop us a line. Try BricsCAD at Bricsys.com and register for future webinars or view prior webinar recordings at Bricsys.com/events. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate your attention. We're glad to bring you a CAD solution that makes